If I gave someone who's making $50,000 a year, if I gave them an extra $1,000,000 at one time, do you think that they automatically become wealthy? So think about that. If you thought yes, well, then you're actually wrong. Why? Because most people do not have a money problem. See, most people actually have a thinking problem. And by the end of this video, you're going to agree. My name is Jermaine Turby. I'm a financial professional with family wisdom. And before I started my journey in the financial space, see, I was driving 10 to 16 hours a day, and I was missing practices for my kids. I was missing their games. I was missing dinner with my wife, not having date night, no time for my wife, for my kids, for myself. Now, was my problem money? No. See, I had a thinking problem that I needed to solve. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to see that most people actually have the same stinking thinking, right? So now I want you to imagine someone making about $40,000 a year. Okay? $40,000 a year, person one. And person two is making about $400,000 a year. Now, which one do you think is richer? Which person is wealthy? Well, it depends, right? It depends. Because if person A, who's only making $40,000 a year, right? So 40K income. However, during the whole year, they have $20,000 in expenses, and they're investing $15,000 a year, and they're saving $5,000 a year. That means that they have a positive net worth if they have zero debt, right? So now at the end of the year, their positive net worth is more than 20,000, right? Positive 20,000. But if person B is making $400,000 a year, however, their expenses are 380,000, and they have $600,000 in debt. Who's richer? Right? Who's richer? They have 20,000 left over, but what are they doing with the 20,000? Right? It's the same 20,000, but their 20,000 goes to vacations, clothes, new stuff. This is where their money goes. So now, what is their net worth? What is their net worth? This person's net worth after year one is a positive 20,000. This person's net worth is a negative, what's that? Boom, 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 boom. If they're making 400, it's still negative 200,000. Negative. Why? Because they have $60,000 in debt. And it's going to take them 30 years to clear this unless they change the way they think, right? See, person A, person A eats mostly at home. Person A has their car paid off. Person A invests their money so that their money can make more money for them. Person B, on the other hand, has a new TV. Person B has two new cars. Person B spends thousands of dollars on concerts and new clothes, designer, expensive dinners, 3 vacations a year, all this stuff, golf trips, trips with the boys, all that stuff. So now at the end of the day, this person is building wealth and this person is not. Why do they end up like this? Because they're focusing on the wrong things. So now today, I want to teach on the 3 levels of money. Okay? So let's talk about level 1. Level 1 is earning. This is where most people focus their entire existence, right? Why? They go to school. They go to school. They get good grades. They work hard so that they can go to a job, right? That job then leads them to a career. So now they have a career. Now they're doing good, right? They sign up for um, a sport. They do this, they do that. They travel, they're living life. Boom, they meet the love of their life. And then what happens? They have kids. And then what do they do with their kids? They put them in sports, they support them, they do everything just so their kids can live the same exact loop. They're living the same loop. How many families do you know that live the same loop? This has been the system in America for decade after decade after decade, generation after generation after generation. And until we break out of this loop, it will repeat itself. How do we break out of the loop? By changing the way that we think, right? Because remember, person A is thinking differently with their money. Person B is not, right? See, it all comes down to the second rule, which is how they manage their money. How do you manage what you already have? Do you manage your money like person A? Or do you manage your money like person B? Because person A has the opportunity to turn this into this, right? They keep investing, they keep investing, they keep investing. Guess what? After 10 years, their 15,000 will can turn into this if they invest it correctly, right? There's strategies that we help clients with every single day that allows them to grow their money with no risk at all. Okay? So now, are you managing your money like person A or person B? See, I used to be a soccer coach for about 4 years. And my wife and I taught so many different kids, great kids, talented kids. And what we saw was that you could have two different kids. They have the same talent, they have the same coach, they have the same opportunity, same team, same town, same everything, right? One kid practices every single day. The other kid chooses to practice only when the team gets together, twice a week, and then on game day. Now, what happens? Maybe at the end of season one, you know, kid A is like a little bit better, but they continue to practice every single day. So now, year two, that gap gets a little further. What happens 3 years later is a completely different outcome. The same thing happens with money. And people wonder why 5 years have gone by, 7 years have gone by, 10 years have gone by, and their situation has never changed. Why? Because they're still managing the money that they earn in the same exact way. And if nothing changes, then guess what? Nothing changes. How do things change? You have to learn the third level, which is how you think about money. So let me ask you, how do you think about money? Because the reality of it is, almost no one focuses on the third level. And this controls the first two. How you think about your money will control how you earn your money, and it will control how you manage the money that you earn. You see, money is a tool. Money is a tool to be used. What is the tool for? It's used to make more money. Why? So that you can have a positive net worth. And what do you do with a positive net worth? You invest your money into places that can make you more money, right? We had a client last year who took their equity in their home and they put it into this program. And what they did was they had a dream of being a restaurant owner, being a business owner, right? The guy wanted to start a business. So he took out a home equity line of credit in his home. And what he was going to do is invest that money into a business. We were like, no, 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 no. Don't do that. So he took his 400,000 and he invested it into a program where now that created an asset to where he used the asset as collateral to go get a loan from the bank. And then the money that he took from the bank, he put right back into that asset and then took it out 30 days later. So now that asset was generating money for him while he was using his money to invest in his business. And then with the money that the business was making, he took that and paid off the home equity line of credit. And now he had this asset that was going to generate him 300, let me write it over here, $360,000 tax free for the rest of life in retirement. That's what you call leverage. Why? Because he was thinking about his money a very, very different way. All right. See, on the last video, I taught you guys I taught on the 5 questions that every single dollar should answer, right? So if you notice, they weren't just money questions, they were thinking questions, right? So when you change the way that you think about money, you'll change the way that you manage your money. And when you change the way that you manage your money, you'll change your family's future. So remember, the goal isn't to just make more money. It's to become the person that knows what to do with it. Because the wisdom you apply today shapes the legacy for your family that they will live tomorrow. I'll see you in the next lesson.